Mario, I've been crying for about
Tommy,
hours in emotional interviews.
did you say you've been crying?
The bastards keep
Man,
asking me about my kids, and it brings me to tears.
I know, I know. I've been trying to just kind of put myself in your shoes. I was talking to my girlfriend, telling her your story, and the 3 weeks ago compared to today, I think you were on the move 3 weeks ago. I can't remember which country you were in, and now you've decided to go back to the UK. Actually, why? Like, if I was in your shoes, the first thing I'd ask myself is, I'd be avoiding the UK at all costs.
Okay, so the truth, everything that's happening now, I plan to happen. That's the truth. So I knew I was breaking their injunction. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew it would carry a hefty prison sentence, but I also knew that would bring the world's eyes on what is a corrupt judiciary. So the struggle I've been having, which, as I said, I've just done interview after interview where I've sat and blabbered my eyes out like a little baby. The problem I have is my children and what that does to them. Because the film that you watch, Silenced, which has been seen by 53 million views, if they hadn't prosecuted me with this next imprisonment, it would have been seen by no one. Now, the corrupt judiciary and the weaponization of it, you get to hear my story, Mario. I'm a public figure. What's just happened in the UK with the riots since tells me, more importantly, why I need to go back and face that trial. Because men, grandfathers, do you know, I've just heard, I don't know if this can be confirmed, that 61-year-old British man hung himself last night in British prisons who was in prison for the recent riots. Mario, our documentary is out on the 26th, shows you that men have been imprisoned for sharing memes. They've been imprisoned for saying, "You're not English anymore." A lady was given 3 years for pushing a bin. A gentleman shouted, "Whose streets are streets?" and was given a 5-year prison sentence. These sentences were given by the communist tyrants in power who do not have a mandate. You know, Keir Starmer got 9 million votes. That's less people than are in London. 38 million people didn't vote for Keir Starmer. And he is terrified of the public looking at his policies and his lies. He promised, Mario, he promised heating for our pensioners. That was one of his election promises. And as soon as he got in power, he took it away at a cost of £1.3 billion. From statistics that just come out of Holland, we know that for every illegal immigrant, it costs us, the British taxpayer, the state, £400,000. That's £298 billion on illegal migrants. That's 2,000 more times than the heating for our old age pensioners. The old age pensioners who have paid into our system their entire life. If ever there's been a time to expose the judiciary, it's now. Mario, my film Silence was leaked 3 years ago in America. It had 50,000 views. Everything that happens is supposed to happen. I've tried to tell the wives of the men rotting in jail, killing themselves in jail, being violently attacked because our prisons are controlled by Islamic gangs. I know the fear those men must be feeling. I know the feeling of their wives, their children. I've been in the same situation many times, and I'll be in the same situation, I guess, this week. But their fathers, unfortunately, had to go to jail. They had to. That injustice had to be seen. I am so grateful that we now live in an era where there are different content creators, like yourself, Mario, that have discussions that the mainstream don't, that give people like me the opportunity to sit here and tell you my reasons, rather than people picking up a headline newspaper that tells them I lied. And this story, if you've seen the film, if you haven't, watch it, it's pinned on my X. This film, Mario, in that film, it destroyed the lives of so many. Yeah, it destroyed my life. I was made bankrupt, my divorce. I haven't lived at home for 3 years since that film. But there were so many children in that film that told the truth. One girl One girl was a grade A student at school. I read her school report. She was the only child in her year not to have a disciplinary. She went on to study law at university. When she was called as a witness in my case, we argued in court. I argued with the judge, please don't name these children, because anyone who's been named has received threats to rape, to murder. One of the witnesses whose daughter was beat up, she corrected her statement and said she was lying. On the documentary, I go see her and she says, Tommy, they threatened to rape us. Yeah. So we tried to protect the kids. The judge said they had to be named. I sat the kids down, specifically Charlie. And I said to her, I don't want you to give evidence, Mom. And do you know what? I've kicked myself, and I probably hid from this problem, is as a man, as a father, I shouldn't have let her give evidence. I shouldn't have let her. And she did. And her name is down as a liar. She left her university case. I get so angry about the injustice of it. And she was sectioned under mental health for doing the right thing.
I remember interviewing Prime Minister Imran Khan. Weeks later, he was in jail. He's still in jail today. He was a Prime Minister of Pakistan.
I like Imran Khan. He was fighting against the globalists.
Are you sure you're making the right decision going back to the UK?
It's not too late. For me, no. For my family, no. For the cause, the best decision I could ever make. For the cause, it's the best decision I can ever make. For the cause, you have to remember, I've been in this for 15 years. My work, what's my job? My job is to expose and uncover corruption. I've wrote a statement to the judge. And remember, the legacy media used to control what comes out of courtrooms. Now, everyone who's anyone of the citizen journalists will be in my courtroom. When I've been in this for 13 years, 15 years, they've already ruined my life, Mario. When you watch the film, of course, I'm a divorce. I've lived all over the place on my own. I don't live with my children. What more can they do? I don't know if you're aware, so I'm answering bail for terrorism on the 25th of October. I was detained. I held a rally on the 27th of July, 100,000 people, totally peaceful. I get to the border, I'm detained under the Terrorism Act. Now, they explain that this law gives us the power, if we believe you're in planning, preparation, or act of terrorism, to detain you. You don't have a right to remain silent. Then they say, but we know you're not preparation for acts of terrorism, but under this law, we can legally obtain you, and you have no right to remain silent. So we're going to question you now for 6 hours. Now, it's a total infringement. I'm a journalist. It's total infringement of my rights, of my legal and lawful activity as a British citizen, because they wanted to know who's helped me with the last event, the most successful patriotic event there's ever been. Who helped you with that? How did you fund it? Who's working with you behind the scenes? Then ask me questions about my work, which they have absolutely no right in doing. And I have no right to remain silent. So this is not just infringement of my rights, it's actual abuse of power, which I explained to them. And they asked me for the access to my phone. And I said no.
The question I wanted to ask you earlier, and I feel like I'm compelled to convince you not to go. Are you obviously not 100%? It's not 100%. There's always second thoughts. I'm sure there's second thoughts.
There's no second thoughts. No second thoughts. Aidan, I've had these thoughts for 3 months. I've driven myself to the point of insanity. I'm going. So I'm on a plane in a little while. I'm going. And you know what? Please, I've asked everyone, if they imprison me for a long time or whatever happens in prison, just speak about it. Just speak about the film. Because it'll undo me, but it's going to undo them. It's going to hurt me. It's going to hurt them. Their reputation's on trial, not me. I personally am on trial, but the whole story is far bigger than me, Tommy Robinson. The reputation of the entire British judiciary is about to play out in front of the world. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. 53 million people have watched that film. So here's my statement to the judge. I believe in freedom of speech and freedom of the press. My duty as a journalist is to uncover the truth, and I have worked for years to shine a light on challenges in society that no one else is willing to speak about. Have you watched the documentary, Your Honour? The judge on before is not Justice Nicklin, the one who lied in the case, yeah? Who gave me the injunction. It's not him. If you've watched the film Silence, Your Honour, you will see that I didn't make any accusations. I didn't make assumptions in the film. I let the witnesses give their testimonies and said that Jamal, in his right to reply, denies all of their accusations against him. I explained Justice Nicklin's verdict, and I explained I lost the case. There was nothing else I could have included because Jamal didn't bring any evidence to court, and he didn't bring anyone to court to speak for him apart from his father, Jihad. His dad's name's Jihad. No teachers, no social workers, no friends. So the judge found that the 7 teachers and the 5 pupils were lying against the testimony of Jamal, whose entire school record is littered with disciplinaries for lying. It's just mad because on a case like this, it has to be on the rule of probability. You don't even have to prove it, just probable. So anyway, Justice Nicklin's verdict in this case is extraordinary. And while the case caused my divorce and bankruptcy, far more important is the impact his verdict that had on those courageous children who came to court to testify. In my defence, Justice Nicklin effectively disregarded their testimonies. He said he didn't know why they were lying, but called them liars nevertheless. Charlie, a grade A student, didn't even like me or support me. She was courageous enough to come to court to testify. She had a breakdown. She had to be sectioned. She dropped off of her lawyer course. She should be living a successful life as a lawyer. Justice Nicklin, he caused that. Bailey McLaren tried to commit suicide. Thankfully, he started to rebuild his life. He has to overcome the lie that the whole country was told he was a racist bully. Many others have been affected. The collateral damage of this scandalous verdict is too great for the public not to know the truth. And for a balanced account of the case, some people still believe the legacy media is there to report what is happening, the truth, rather than push strongly biased accounts driven by ideology or political agendas. Well, in this case, the press only attended court on the day Jamal and his father were to give evidence. They then left the court. Literally, do you know, as our 5 witnesses got up to testify, all the mainstream media got up and walked out. So I looked at the judge. They've all left. I said, so no one gets told. There's going to be no reporting on the outside of, like, the first little boy that got up said that Jamal called his mum a white slag and then attacked him when he was 12. Another girl gets up and says he beat her up with a hockey stick. Another boy gets up and says he watched her beat her up with a hockey stick. And another boy, then we go through the school records. It says he stabbed someone. We find out he carries a knife and screwdriver. So all these things go on, and it's not reported. It's just not reported. Yeah. So some people are, well, in this case, the press only attended court on the day, and they then left court and didn't bother to return to hear the testimony of the children who were witness to the defence. The whole balanced picture could not be reported by the legacy media because they weren't there. They weren't interested in what the children testifying from my defence had to say. Then Justice Nicklin tried to prevent the whole picture being given to the public by issuing an injunction. He banned the film. Justice Nicklin has banned me from presenting the same evidence that was presented in court. In such a clear-cut case, why is it necessary to hide the facts from the public? If they watched testimonies of the witnesses, then surely they'd come to the same conclusion as Justice Nicklin. What's the agenda? Well, the injunction was apparently to protect Jamal's reputation. Yet it's not the reputation of Jamal that has been damaged so much by this legal circus. I don't wish any ill on Jamal. I personally think that he's a victim of his own predatory lawyers and those who blasted this story around the world for their own purposes. It's very telling that Jamal hasn't asked for me to be prosecuted in this case, neither of his lawyers. The case has been brought to me by the Attorney General, by His Majesty's government. Do you know what it is? I'd love this case to have been put off till after Donald Trump is elected, because the communists and tyrants and frauds and liars in your government have emboldened those in other countries. I really believe it would be a different play if Donald Trump, a man that loves freedom, was in power. I really do. But the injunction wasn't
there's no Tommy, there's no option for you, so you have to be there for the hearing. Is that why you're heading off tomorrow? What's the alternative? What options do you have when you sat there looking at? All right, I can go back and for
I
anyone that
know.
doesn't know your story, you've done an interview about it, you've done many interviews, and we can go through it. But looking at the various options that you have, if you decide not to go to the UK, what happens next?
Nothing. They can't do anything. It's a civil injunction.
You can
Nothing.
still live a normal life outside the country.
Yeah. 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 That's what everyone's saying to me. But I'll just give
What
you
happened?
I'll just give
Go
you the
ahead. Oh,
conclusion quickly because this
yeah,
I
go ahead.
read out and call you. The conclusion. In my view, the similarities of the post office case, powerful interests hiding the truth for their own purposes, regardless of terrible consequences for those innocent children I've mentioned and others. If you're asking me whether I plead guilty or not guilty, yeah, I'm guilty of showing the film in Trafalgar Square on the 27th of July. I made that decision personally to play the film. I'm grateful to Elon Musk and for X for allowing the film to remain available, for standing up for freedom of speech and for a free press. And although not for you, Your Honour, not for your court, not for the entire justice system, I have absolute contempt for Justice Nicklin's ruling and the attempt to hide the truth from the public. Justice Nicklin fell out with his own father before the case, arguing about me. He should have recused himself before the case even began. The world is watching. I stand for truth. I stand for freedom of speech. And I stand for freedom of the press. And if that puts me on the wrong side of Justice Nicklin's injunction, then so be it. If I have to sit in jail for speaking the truth, well, I am now just one of many people that this government is imprisoning for things they say. We are all political prisoners. If I have to sit in jail for refusing to be silenced, I am prepared to do that. Thank you, Your Honour. Because, and on the point you just asked me, Mario, Great Britain is my home, and it's what I fight for. And you see the stage that our country's at. They've just imprisoned all these people, and they've done that intentionally and televised it intentionally. And they made it from mothers. A 12-year-old girl got put in jail. A 12-year-old girl, man. A 12-year-old child was imprisoned. And they've done this to scare. The purpose of the government doing that, it's a bit like your January 6th. It's a bit like January 6th.
So if they've done this to a 12-year-old girl, what do you expect happens to you when you land? What's the probability that you don't get arrested? If you get arrested, what will happen in jail? What are you prepared for? Because I know you've thought this through time and time again.
I expect to be detained when I land. I expect that. If they've got any brain, they'll wait till Friday. Because when they detain me, within the UK, I'll be put to prison. And then I have an option to attempt for bail within about 48 hours. So I should then go before a judge. And I'd hope to get bail because I've never not turned up to court for bail. So I'd hope to get bail, which would then result in me being present on the 26th of October. 26th of October, your good girl here, Vicky, is coming to cover the demonstration. I believe. You see, they tried to scare the public into silence. And what happens if we allow that to happen is people begin to self-censor. So even when they feel very passionately about something, they don't say it online. And they certainly don't go out and protest. I actually think that's what January 6th was about, yeah, in America. Like, scare the hell out of them, give people 22 years, put them on solitary confinement. Everyone's then like, well, we can't go protest. And they think anyone setting up a protest is a setup, yeah? So it's our God-given right to protest. No one's taking that from us. And on the 26th of October, I hope Keir Starmer and his band of merry mugs and all these communists, because they would have thought they crushed it. They crushed the revolution that was brewing. I hope they sit and they see a sea as far as the eyes can see of Union flags, St. George's flags, Scottish flags, Welsh flags. And they realise that they may not like me, and it's a sad state of affairs that it's had to be me, but the country is united on this issue. And I hope that we send a message that if you think you're going to take our speech and you think you're going to take our freedom, then think again, because not without a fight, man. Not without a fight. And do you know what I think about, Mario? Like, it might sound very deep, yeah? If they put me in jail, which they are, I believe 100%, yeah? And they let them get to me, because I lost all my teeth in Wood Hill prison.
Them as in the gangs in jail.
The gangs, the Muslim gangs, yeah. Every gang run by Muslim gang, Islam. America needs to get ready for this and all, but Islam's the biggest gang in jail. They run everything. Yeah, they run everything. If they let them get to me, I truthfully believe it may spark revolution. I truthfully believe that, and this may sound crazy, and if my kids watching this, I think, what the, but no one knows what the defining moment of a nation will be that changes the direction of it. The direction we're heading down, and you, and all of Europe, is that it's not in the interests of the nation's people. Like, they're destroying our countries. They're taking our freedom. So in Northern Ireland, if you know the conflict in Northern Ireland, Bloody Sunday changed the direction of Northern Ireland. So sort of without sounding like a suicide bomber,
Yeah.
I'm happily throwing myself into their hands. I'm not happily doing it because I'm a bit distraught and a bit panicked. But the end goal for me is change. And I've been in this situation.
What I worry is that don't tell me there's an alternative to this. So first, I agree with where the country's heading. Like after our interview, it's a bit of an eye-opening interview for me. The UK, which I've spent so much time in the UK, I've got a company in the UK, I've got family in the UK, I've got friends, team members. I'm too worried to go to the country after our interview. I haven't been to the country since then. So I understand what you're fighting for, but there's another alternative, is that you go to jail. They silence you like your book was #1 on Amazon. They've removed it. They do everything they can. They paint a certain picture in the media. They, you're banned already on most social media platforms. And then the same way with Imran Khan or Andrew Tate. I was going to interview Andrew Tate I think 2 or 3 days before he got arrested, the first arrest a couple of years ago. Andrew is still fighting the Romanian judicial system. Imran Khan is in prison, and the list goes on. Don't you worry that they end up putting you in jail and silencing everyone?
No, I do, but at the same time, the British, do you know what they've made us into? In our DNA, our DNA, Mario, is to fight. It's in our DNA. Yeah, it's in every one of us. If you look at what our forefathers done, sacrificed, and went through, the most feared country on the planet from a little island. We as a nation have forgotten who we are. We as men have forgotten who we are. On the 27th of July, we reminded ourselves who we are. We reminded ourselves that we stand up to tyranny. We don't run away from it. We fight. And you have two options in life. And it's options that since I started my activism in 2009, when I took on the Islamization of Great Britain, it's fight or flight. It's fight or flight. And if I go to jail, each jail I've been in, I'll fight. I don't want to fight. I'm scared. But I'm quietly confident. I've come out of each prison looking as handsome as this each time so far. So I nearly got done with boiling water, and they put boiling water in a cup and put sugar in it, fry it in your face, takes your face off. So it's on a crime drama in the UK, 24 hours in police custody. I got prosecuted for stopping him. So I thought, everything you're asking me, I've took my mind to deep places in all these questions. Like at one point, I felt like I'm coming to the end of my time. In the sense, I don't know what I'm walking into. That's the truth. I don't know.
You seem different. You seem different. This interview seems very different to the last one. And I don't blame you. Like, you're hours away. I think you landed in a few hours in the UK.
Yeah.
That's why my questions were different to what I'm asking you now, whether you're making the right decision. And I'm sure your kids, what are your kids saying about this when you speak to them?
You don't want to know.
They don't want you to do this, do they? And they've been trying to convince you not to go. Is there no way you can continue this fight outside the country? You may not need to get arrested to keep this fight going.
There is, but I'm just, it's not in me, man. It's just not in me.
What's not in you? You can continue this fight from overseas, and then go back to the UK when the political establishment either changes or they start changing their ways.
I'd hang myself to hang them. Not literally. Do you know what they've done? In the last 15 years, what they've already done to me, what they've done I've been in 10 jails. I've been in 10 jails for my work. Do you know the best
How
thing?
long in total?
I've done a year of solitary confinement. But do you know which damaged me severely, man? It may sound crazy. I went into jail, one person, and come out the other. So when I'm looking at 4 years now, I'm thinking 2 years in solitary, that is. But I truthfully believe it's going to undo them more than me. When I leave jail, hopefully if I leave jail, I leave as the most credible journalist there is. Yeah. I believe on a journalist, and I do believe I stand and I'll die on that hill for freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And if I'm right, I've, I've lived my life since my activism in 2009. I said, if you worry about consequence, you will never bring about change. You see, the people who brought about change, they sacrificed, every one of them, and they were willing to die for their cause. And I worried about consequence 3 years ago when I got this injunction. 4 years ago, for the first time, I betrayed myself because I should have played the film the next day. And I didn't play the film because I was scared. I was scared of going to jail. I was scared of the impact on my kids. And for 3 years, I left home and I had to leave home. I went to Tenerife, and then I went to Spain, and I went to Portugal. I've been all over. And I started in different cities on my own, and it's a lonely life, man. I carry on my work to come back in the UK. I can't live in the UK. I can't even get a bank account, Mario. Do you know what I just done 3 weeks ago? All the money I've been raising to fight this legally, they froze. They froze my money, man. So for my money to instruct a lawyer, Tide Bank have closed me down. So then we said, okay, the money we've raised, send direct to lawyers. They won't do it. I'm on trial next week. No lawyers. So I'm lucky. Do you know Ezra Levant from Rebel Media?
Of course.
I used to work for Ezra. So again, I've been in a mess, man, just thinking, I'm going back like a ticking time bomb, if I'm honest. So what do I do? And then I rang Ezra, or Ezra rang me and said, how are you? I said, bruv, they've done my banks, man. I don't know what to do. And they've done my banks. So we paid for the demonstration. We had 2 separate fundraisers. The money that went in for the legals, they froze all. And then so I set up another account. They said, we will only send it to a company in that name. Sorry, I've just been quiet. So I set up another account. And then they sent it there, and it said pending for a week. And then that new bank emailed us, we're not willing to bank for you either. So then we flew to Portugal, and we set the company name up there. And then they said, this was 2 days ago, we'll only send it to a UK account. We can't get the money, man. We can't get it. So I rang Ezra, or Ezra rang me. This was 48 hours ago. Have you ever seen Ezra work? I used to work for Ezra, yeah? Jesus, man. By the time I got off the phone, he sent an email like this, yeah, to lawyers, QCs in the UK, instructing an emergency meeting, and he's standing here with me now. So he's come.
Ezra's with you now in I know where you are. I can mention the country, yeah?
Ezra's with me in Spain. He's going to be on that flight, and he said that he's going to push and help. And the way he's done it, because when we fundraise, they know where the fundraising goes, so they can just access the banks. With Ezra, they can't, or with Give Send Go, they can't. So Give Send Go don't buckle to them. So he's had a meeting, I believe, with the owner of Give Send Go. He's flown straight here, and we come back, and the fight starts tomorrow, bro. The fight starts tomorrow. So I think I'll be in jail by tonight. But I hope I get bail for the weekend so I can be at my event. But if I'm not at my event, I still know when I say this, Mario, remember I've walked the country for 15 years, yeah? In the estates that politicians don't go into, yeah? The 48% of our country didn't vote. That's where we're from. The disillusioned, the disenfranchised, the white working class. Now, I can't walk down the street in those places for the reception I receive everywhere. So I've seen the change. They are creating a Robin Hood. They're doing it. So on this case, there's a fine line. When a totalitarian government wish to oppress someone, it's a fine line between oppressing them and creating a martyr. I believe if the worst could possibly happen in my imprisonment, they'll create 10,000 Tommy Robinsons tomorrow. So I know that's a difficult, it's fucking been painful for weeks to just prepare and tell the kids. How do you tell your kids that when they... Do you know the worst thing, bruv? I hold my hands up. When I haven't been an angel in my life, bruv, I've done things that I should be punished for. Do you know what I mean? At times. In this case, it's the fucking total deepness of their lie and the injustice of all of it. And I think, you've already bankrupted me. You've already made my life impossible. You've already doxed my address. When they doxed my address in this documentary, they hired an Antifa extremist who threatened to murder my children as a final straw for the wife. Yeah? And fair enough, the best thing she could have done was put the children before us. So when this has gone on, I think you're not just happy at that. You now want to lock me up for years. But again, Mario, I'm not stupid, bruv. I'm a very calculated person. I knew what I was doing when I put this film out. I knew I'd be sitting in this position. I knew I'd be going to jail. But I think that tomorrow, or the court case, will be more work than I could have done in a decade in exposing their corruption. So it's 10 years good work.
And do you think the strategy, and you are very calculated, so do you think there's a probability that you'll put so much pressure on them and you'll expose them to an extent where they have no choice but to give you justice? Is that what you're hoping for?
I don't think that, no. No, I never think, I did think that, but then when they started locking people up for shouting at dogs and giving people police sentences for saying words, I thought they don't care. They don't care. They really don't care. And the next steps of this is the more abuse of freedom. So they don't give a shit. I realise they don't care. So, but what I mean by that is we need a mass awakening. We need the public to be really awake. And we're getting there. So I think my imprisonment, whatever happens in that imprisonment, I'm blessed, Mario, in the sense that people know who I am. I can go to jail. The mother of my kids is a fabulous lady. And I believe people will support them no matter what happens.
Is it possible? I know you've got a flight soon. Last couple of questions, man. Is it possible that you don't go out on bail? You don't go out at all?
Yeah, that's possible, bro. It's possible. So, and if that does happen, buy your train ticket, man. Be in London. Everyone. It's the biggest moment to send them, say, like, their purpose is to scare us. Their purpose is to intimidate us. That only works if we let them do it. Do you know the definition of courage is being scared, being intimidated, but still doing the right thing. So the right thing is to be in London for me on the 26th of October. I don't want to be...
Have they reached out to do some sort of deal with you behind the scenes? Has there been any communication at all with anyone from their side? Say, like, Tommy, do X, Y, Z, and you'll be good.
On the last case, they done that. They said, apologise. And I said, do you know, they sent me a letter over this case. They sent me a letter saying, we're contemplating prosecuting you. So I made a video and said, Mr. Attorney General, go and fuck yourself. Go and fuck yourself, yeah? The film is going out. The film's out. So unlucky, son. So when you look at what I've said, I expect they're going to slam me. So
you're going to see your family one last time before when you land?
No. I think the police will be at the plane. I was a bit upset all this week because I was meant to have them for 3 days.
By the way, we were talking about this interview, and my teams like Mario were worried that Interpol or someone already got him because we can't reach him. I think you were MIA for a day or half a day.
Yeah.
So they were worried you're already potentially in jail in Spain. So my last question is, what's next? So when is your flight? When do you land? What do you expect to happen then? You go out on bail. There's the protest afterwards on the 26th. Documentary.
We land at 8:30. I expect to be detained. I expect
8:30. That's in how many hours?
UK time. I expect to be detained and I expect to be taken to prison. I expect then in 2 days to be transferred to a court try and get bail for the weekend.
You're probably you're prepared to be in jail in 6 hours.
Maybe not prepared, but I may be in jail in 6 hours. No, I am prepared, man. I've had a long time to prepare myself. I got emotional last couple of. I've just done a whole load of interviews because I think about my kids now.
And you've got the protest on the 26th.
26th, man. Hopefully, it's the biggest sea of patriots this country's ever seen. That's what it was on the 27th. And we all get to send all of them a message. So the message is clear. You don't define who we are. Yeah, we don't cover our faces. We're proud of who we are. So anyone going, no violence. Right? That's them instigating violence. We define who we are. We're the proudest people in Britain. We love our country. We love our culture, and we're not going to let it go whilst remaining silent because you scare us. So, yeah, man. Just talk about it, Mario, please.
On it, man.
Cheers, bruv. Thanks.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
See you later. I have got to go into a police station on Friday, so twice bail for that terrorism thing. But I'll be in London on Saturday.
So you made it into the UK.
We're back.
You're back.
Now watch the fireworks on Saturday, everyone. Watch the fireworks. I'm actually shocked, if I'm honest. Absolutely shocked.
Did they let you in? So what do you want to tell the people that they have to come to London on Saturday?
I want to tell them that, yeah, it's happening. It was happening anyway, yeah. The demonstration was happening anyway. The film's finished. Come to London. If ever there's been a time to send Keir Starmer and his communist tyrant government a message, it's this Saturday.